All right, so have you ever, like, belted out a Britney Spears song in the shower
Yeah.
and thought, there's something kind of deep going on here?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially like with some of her later stuff, it can get pretty heavy.
Yeah, totally. But, like, even some of their early hits have this, like, hidden layer of angst or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like on the surface, it's all kecky pop hooks, but there's this like undercurrent of existential dread almost.
Exactly. So tonight we're going to tackle one of those early bangers that I think has way more going on than meets the eye.
Okay, hit me with it.
Oops, I did again.
Oh, man, a classic. And it's so ripe for some serious overanalyzing.
Right, we're going to treat this song like it's like a PhD thesis or something.
Yeah.
Break it down piece by piece. Look for all those hidden meanings and philosophical implications.
Love it. We're going to go full on pretentious academic on this one. No self awareness whatsoever.
Exactly. It's going to be fun. So let's jump right in. The song opens with this like super catchy hook, but it also sets up this theme of repeating patterns right off the bat.
Totally. Britney's singing about messing with this guy's heart again, even though she knows she's going to hurt him.
Yeah, like she's almost addicted to the drama or something.
That's interesting you say that because it really taps into this idea of the repetition compulsion, like in Freudian psychology.
Oh, wow. Yeah, explain that a little bit.
So basically, Freud believed that we're all kind of driven by these unconscious desires. And sometimes those desires lead us to repeat the same patterns of behavior over and over again, even if they're harmful.
So, like, Britney's character in the song is trapped in this cycle of hurting this guy, even though she knows it's wrong.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder about free will, right? Like, is she really choosing to do this, or is she just a slave to her subconscious impulses?
And, like, are we all just kind of stuck in our own little cycles like that?
It's a pretty bleak outlook when you think about it, but it's also kind of a universal human experience, you know?
Totally. And then there's this whole thing about love being a game in the song.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Britney sets the rules. She makes the moves, and she seems to be in total control.
It's like she's saying all relationships are just about power dynamics and manipulation.
And you could even take it a step further and look at it through the lens of game theory.
Okay, now you're really getting academic on me. Break that down for us.
So in game theory, you have these players, each with their own goals and strategies, and they're interacting with each other, trying to maximize their own outcomes.
So in this case, Britney's the player, and her goal is to win the game of love.
Exactly. And her strategy is to be playful and unpredictable, to keep the other person guessing.
But isn't that kind of messed up, like using love as a way to gain power over someone?
Well, it depends on how you interpret it. I mean, some people might see it as a form of empowerment, you know, like Britney's taking charge of her own destiny.
Yeah, I guess there's definitely multiple ways to look at it. And speaking of multiple interpretations, let's talk about that line. That's just so typically me.
Oh man, that line is key. I think it's one of the most interesting parts of the whole song.
It's like she's acknowledging her flaws, but in this like super nonchalant way.
Right, and on the surface it seems like self-awareness, but I think it's actually more complex than that.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
So if we apply like a Lacanian perspective to this, it becomes about identity construction.
Okay, now we're really getting into the weeds here. Who's Lacan?
Jacques Lacan, he was like this super influential French psychoanalyst.
Okay, got it. So what does he have to do with Britney Spears?
Well, Lacan believed that our sense of self is always being shaped by the way others perceive us, right? So we create these personas, these idealized versions of ourselves to try to control how people see us.
So like Britney's saying,
Mm.
that's just, so typically me is actually her way of constructing this image for the listener.
Exactly. And it's brilliant because it makes her seem both relatable and aspirational at the same time.
Oh, wow. I never thought of it that way. And then there's that whole thing with the Titanic reference.
Ah, yes, the heart of the ocean
It's
necklace.
such a random detail, but it adds this whole other layer to the song.
Right, like is Britney trying to foreshadow heartbreak? Is she comparing herself to Rose, a woman who chose passion over societal expectations?
It's so interesting how this like cheesy pop song can suddenly become so deep and symbolic.
I know, right? And it makes you wonder if Britney was intentionally weaving in all these layers or if it was just subconscious.
Maybe it's a bit of both. And then she drops that line, wishing the heroes they truly exist.
Oh man, that line gets me every time. It's like this cry for help almost.
Yeah, like she's yearning for someone to rescue her from all the drama and the pain.
And you could tie that back to the Jungian archetype of the hero.
Okay, you're losing me again. Who's Jung?
Carl Jung, he was another famous psychologist. He came up with this idea of archetypes, these universal symbols and characters that appear in myths and stories across cultures.
Oh, I've heard of that. So what's the hero archetype all about?
Well, the hero is basically the savior figure, right? The one who comes in and defeats the evil rescues the damsel in distress, that kind of thing.
So Britney's wishing for a hero to come and save her.
Exactly. But the question is she setting herself up for disappointment by placing all her hopes on someone else?
Yeah, like maybe true strength comes from within or something.
Right. And maybe the real hero's journey is about learning to save yourself.
Wow. So we've gone from Britney Spears to Freud to Lacan to Jung in like 20 minutes.
It's amazing what you can uncover when you really start to overthink things.
Oh, I know, right? Who knew? Oops, it again was such a philosophical masterpiece.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
So much to think about, people. If you want to join us on our quest to overanalyze every song on your playlist, make sure to like and subscribe.
And remember, I'm not that innocent.
See you next time.
Play.